Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not welcome back to Wrestling Corner. See, I'm Punkus watching over there. Uh, and we are back on the draft circuit. We're talking about the draft shows, and unfortunately, we have reached 2007. Not that it's not because it's a bad show. It is kind of bad. It's kind of boring, but because of some recent things that have happened, this show no longer has the same oomph that it used to. It no longer. So this is the 2007 WWE draft. It's also Mr. McMahon Appreciation Night. Yeah. So, do you understand how it's going to be difficult to talk about this show, given, what's coming to light about Vince McMahon? However, I'm not going to be addressing any of that because it's more about the Mr. McMahon character. Although I will say this, you cannot deny that no matter all the bad things that Vince McMahon has done, without Vince McMahon, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. No WrestleMania, right? There'd be no big shows. There would be no WWE as we know it now if Vince McMahon had not been around, in my opinion. So, yeah, Vince McMahon, as an entertainer, as a sports entertainment giant, has done a lot. His personal stuff, not so much. But, so this is the 2007 WWE draft. This is the start of the 4 or 5 years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The 5 years where the draft it was the best way to do the draft. Like in previous ones, it was, so in 2002, you had them coming out and announcing the draft picks, right? Which is what they're not doing later. In 2004, you had the little tumbler thing, and you pull out the ball, and you say, oh, Spike Dudley. And in 2005, they changed it up where it was over a month. That was grueling to watch, 8 shows to try to, do that. But all those 8 shows were nothing. At least it was entertaining compared to this one 3-hour show that felt like it went on forever. Every time a Mr. McMahon appreciation moment popped up, I just went, come on. Because every time they do that, no chance! And they show Vince McMahon walking, Mr. McMahon. It's Mr. McMahon walking. But, yeah, so this is when they started doing we're going to have one person from one brand versus one person from another brand, and whoever wins gets a draft pick for that brand. I like that. I like that idea. And I wish they would bring that back. It would bring that back. But no. We got people coming out and announcing who's going to what brand. They're trying to make it more sports-like, and I get it. Like football or something, but I don't know. So our first match here. Well, first of all, we have Mr. McMahon addressing the camera, and he seems a little off. A little more off than usual. And he's reading from this thing. He's just like, tonight is Vince McMahon Appreciation Night. He has no chutzpah in his voice or nothing. He's just very droll, very blah. And so, yeah, it's Vince McMahon Appreciation Night, and celebrities and legends and other people will be coming to address Mr. McMahon and appreciate him. So, yeah. Our first match is John Cena representing Raw versus Edge representing SmackDown. The WWE Champion versus the World Heavyweight Champion. So this is going to be a bullshit finish. And I remember that it was a bullshit finish, but I don't remember how bullshit. So at one point during this match, again, I don't talk about move for move. At one point during this match, they had him on the outside. John Cena's going off on Edge. Edge rolls into the ring, and the referee counts out John Cena. So Edge wins by count out and gets the first draft pick for SmackDown. Yeah. Edge is on SmackDown because he is the World Heavyweight Champion. He basically stole the briefcase from Mr. Kennedy because they thought he was going to be injured, but he wasn't. They thought he was injured, but he wasn't injured. and so they took the briefcase from him for no reason. Edge became the world champion. Now, Mr. Kennedy was a SmackDown star, but him losing it happened on Raw, which is confusing. It's confusing because we'll get to it. But yeah, so SmackDown gets the first draft pick, and it is the Great Khali, who has been having a rivalry against John Cena. So yeah. And so now he's going to SmackDown. Edge is all happy that he won the draft pick until it's the Great Khali, and he's like, and then John Cena is all smiles. So he didn't win the draft pick. He stole it because he didn't win the one. Now it's time for the first of many Vince McMahon Appreciation Night things. And it is Jesse the Body Ventura who so he goes, I'm not going to be able to do all these word for word, but he basically goes on, Mister, that's a title I only give to people I respect. And you, I don't respect you, McMahon. I'm going to call you McMahon, like I did back in 1990. McMahon. And I'm like, Mister? Like, every man is a Mister, right? Do you mean sir? I think he meant sir. Jesse Ventura has never been all that right in the head. I mean, he was our governor. So you think I have to respect him, and I do. But he was never all that right in the head. And I was in school when he was governor, so I don't know whatever he did. But I can imagine he was a better governor than some orange people who were president. Just saying. Anyway, we then get confirmation that Vengeance is going to be Vengeance Night of Champions. Every match is a title match, which would be the thing for Night of Champions until 2010, when they decided to put CM Punk versus The Big Show for no reason. Anyway, next is CM Punk representing ECW versus Carlito representing Raw. This match is bullshit. No, ECW wins, but I thought it was going to be bullshit. I thought it was going to be, they're going to have Carlito win, and no, because I forget who wins these things. Also, during the entrances, we see a graphic for Vengeance Night of Champions. Let me remind you, they just announced it was going to be a Night of Champions, and I already have a goddamn graphic. Sometimes these shows are too polished. Like, every time a draft pick happens, the music plays and the person comes out. It's like, none of this makes any sense. You play the music, but having them come out, it's like, you're telling people, they already knew they were being drafted. Where, like, not everyone's supposed to be in the back, but if you go back to 2004, right, or even 2002, when someone was drafted, they showed them in the back room, getting up, reacting, and walking out. Here it's just, draft pick is made, with the random draft video, which, by the way, they hadn't perfected the draft video. The sound for this is annoying, but you got a bunch of people just going through a bunch of the people on the roster, and then, boom, and then the picture comes up, is going to blank, is going to Raw, blank is going to SmackDown, blank is going to ECW. Then the music plays and they come out. So, yeah. Well, Carlito goes for the backstabber, but CM Punk rolls on the outside. And then they go in, and Carlito goes to pick him up. And CM Punk picks him up, hits the GTS, go to sleeps. And 1, 2, 3, CM Punk wins for ECW, and it is the Boogeyman coming to get ya. And there's no one more perfect for ECW than the Boogeyman, let me tell you. But I don't think they ever did anything with the Boogeyman. Okay, like he was on SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 video game, or 2008, one of them, and then he was on 2009 as an unlockable character in the story mode with the Undertaker's Road to WrestleMania. And in that game, I put him on ECW because it worked. Also, I had the DLC characters like Earthquake and Doink on ECW, and Vader. They work. Anyway, so next is Snoop Dogg appreciates Mr. McMahon. Now, at the beginning of this, they said that these things are going to be raw, live, and uncensored. They're going to be uncensored, unedited, unfiltered. But clearly, Snoop Dogg said something he wasn't supposed to say. He's like, and it bleeps him out. And I think he called him the N-word. So they had to bleep him out. But Snoop is just going at it, Some of them are actually saying good things about Mr. McMahon. Other people are writing him down. We'll get to it, but, And next, Mick Foley comes out to the ring and talks about Mr. McMahon and all the things he has done, the bad things, and he also says that there was a list of people who were asked to, appear for the Vince McMahon appreciation stuff, and it was Hulk Hogan, Triple H, Eric Bischoff, Dick Ebersol, the head of NBC, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Ted Turner, and Trish Stratus, none of which make appearances on the show. Now, Shawn Michaels is injured, right? At this time, I talk about later when Randy Orton is in the Battle Royal that he injured Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels does come back at about November-ish, October-ish, around then. Excuse me. And he is out. Triple H is injured his quad. So they're both injured at this point. So neither of them were there. And they didn't want to, I don't know if they just didn't want anything to do with that, or maybe they found out what was going on with it at the end. I don't know. But they weren't there. And Mick Foley is, sort of poking fun at Mr. McMahon here. Yeah. Next we have Balls Mahoney. Balls. Representing ECW, of course, against Umaga from Raw. Done. It's very quick. He gets in, there's a few moves. Umaga hits that spike. He was also on the ECW against Matt vs. Raw 2009, by the way. And then Raw gets a draft pick, and it is King of Buka, which they don't really do anything with. He's there, but I don't think he does anything big, really, until Triple H comes back, because it's King versus King, you know. But yeah. Next is Steve-O appreciates Mr. McMahon. Hey, Mr. McMahon, I appreciate you. I don't know. And I get my ass kicked, and seeing people get their ass kicked and something. I don't know. I really don't know. Next, we have Bobby Lashley from ECW versus Chris Benoit from SmackDown. And amazingly, this has an actual finish. And this was actually a pretty good match. Because Bobby Lashley is a great wrestler, and Chris Benoit, no matter what happened in his personal life, was also a great professional wrestler. So this was a pretty good match. But Bobby Lashley ends up winning. And Chris Benoit goes to ECW. Yeah, you're going to notice that this one is the only one where more than one person gets drafted on the show to ECW, on the show, live. Because they were actually trying to make it even-ish. But the other years, they just get one. Yeah. Next one makes you go, whew, as Donald Trump appreciates Mr. McMahon, and all he does is talk about the match at WrestleMania where he shaved his head. That's all he talks about. Then we have Ashley Massaro via satellite. Apparently, she was fired for spilling a cup of coffee on Vince McMahon. Or she was suspended for spilling a cup of coffee on Mr. McMahon. And so she is via satellite. But she's obviously just in her room in the arena. But she talks about how he's like, she says this, and it made me pop a little bit. She's like, you've had a interesting history with the divas in WWE. Yeah, let's not go there. But she says, if I can appreciate one thing, is that you started the Diva Search. Yeah, the Diva Search was bullshit, though. Like, they weren't even wrestlers. They were models, so they could just show pretty women on TV. That's all the Diva Search was. They got lucky that you had some pretty good, competitors like Michelle McCool and Layla, and Ashley was pretty good. But overall, that was just to show pretty women on TV. But, no. And then she starts talking about when Trish Stratus, obviously this is where they wanted Trish Stratus to talk about this, but she declined, so they have Ashley do it. Where Vince McMahon made Trish Stratus get down on all fours and bark like a dog. So she says, we're going to have two divas do that tonight. And out comes Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah, who go down to the lingerie and they're barking like dogs, and Mae Young's eating out of the food bowl or something. Next we have Iron Sheik And Jimmy Snuka appreciated Mr. McMahon. And Jimmy Snuka's like, "Oh, you sound off, brother. There's something wrong in your head, brother. There's something wrong with you, brother." And then Iron Sheik says something, I'm sure, but it, "Oh, what you do, and you the bubble," and then I don't know what the hell he was saying. I can understand a damn thing. Next, we have MVP from SmackDown versus the new Intercontinental Champion Santino Marella from Raw. He very recently won it. MVP wins because Santino was still new here. MVP wins, and the draft pick for SmackDown is Tori Wilson. She's going back to SmackDown after being drafted to Raw 2 years prior. I gotta fix my belt. I'm fat, and it squeezes, and I can feel it hurting. There we go. All right. Next, another thing that'll make you go. Vince McMahon Appreciation Night continues with Bret the Hitman Hart. And you're going to notice that this is the one that sticks out because everyone else is in some kind of a studio or in front of some like cardboard thing set up to be like an interview space. Bret Hart is just in a gym and he's mic'd up because he couldn't be bothered to go anywhere. So he's just in a gym talking about Vince McMahon, and it's not good stuff. He's bashing him basically, but what do you expect? Next we have The Miz from SmackDown. Yes, this is the SmackDown Miz. Ooh-rah! Ooh-rah! Versus Snitsky. And Snitsky wins. But then he goes nuts and attacks The Miz. So the referee reverses the decision. And SmackDown gets the draft pick. Which, why not just have The Miz roll him up for a... Why do this? Why not just have Snitsky get disqualified during the match? So that SmackDown gets the draft pick. Why does it have to be Snitsky wins and then attacks him and the draft pick switches? Why not just have him get disqualified? It's a head scratcher. But Chris Masters, the masterpiece, goes to SmackDown. And I don't remember him doing anything on there. But, yeah. Next, we have someone near and dear to my heart. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Talking about Vince McMahon. Appreciating Vince McMahon and appreciating the good stuff. And he also pops up some jokes as well. But, you know, as Heenan would do. But it's just, when they announced Heenan was coming up, I'm like, oh. Heenan is one of my favorite commentators, favorite managers. He's favorite wrestling personality, I would say. It's just sad what happened to him in his life and with his jaw and everything. It just, yeah. But then, after that, we have another person near and dear to my heart. Roddy Piper. Comes out, much like Mick Foley did, but he's standing there and he's talking about Mr. McMahon. And he basically shows a clip of all the times that Mr. McMahon was stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin. They show the head shaving thing. They show the bedpan stuff. They show the beer bash. They show the Mr. McMahon 316 said, "I just pissed my pants." Yeah, they don't show the other two, but they show that part with Stone Cold, because I think Stone Cold says it later. But yeah, and yeah. And yes, 3 minutes of McMahon stuff, appreciation stuff in a row. Mark Cuban appreciates Mr. McMahon, and he was really sincere about it. So, you know. Next, we have Candice Michelle versus Crystal. Candice Michelle from Raw versus Crystal from SmackDown. You would not be surprised to find out that Candice Michelle wins. These matches go pretty quick. And Bobby Lashley comes to Raw. And again, everything is so, like, to the T, set up to just go bump, that you cannot believe it. It's supposed to be random. But this happened so quickly. So, Bobby Lashley's drafted Raw. He comes out, he's celebrating, and then within seconds, hard hit, back break, and Coach comes out and says, "Congratulations on being drafted to Raw." But Mr. McMahon says, since you're on Raw, you cannot be ECW champion, so you have to give it up. He just got drafted. How quick does that have to be for Lashley to be drafted, Mr. McMahon to go, get that out of my mom, and then Coach to come out there and take that? Is so quick. They could have had him come out and do this, go to commercial, and then come back and do a segment where he's walking in the hallway, and then Coach walk up to him and say, "Hey, you can't be ECW champion now that you're on Raw," blah, 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 blah. But to do it like this, it's it comes off as it's supposed to be random, but this kind of succession like this, it's obviously planned. So it just I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I flip over the other side now. So we have a triple threat match because because they couldn't decide whether or not Jeff Hardy or Batista, because Batista was going to win, but they didn't want Jeff Hardy to take the pin. So they had Elijah Burke. So it's Raw, ECW, and SmackDown. Jeff Hardy was representing Raw, Elijah Burke representing ECW, and Batista representing SmackDown. And it is during this match that they're talking about champions being drafted. So they take an example from what happened to last night. They said, oh, if you get drafted, you're going to lose your title. And then they say, oh, Batista, if Batista gets drafted to either show, he will still have his match against Edge, his last chance match, whatever it's called, do or die match against Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. And what happens if he wins the world title then? He doesn't. Spoiler, by the way. What happens if he had won the world title? What happens? If he got drafted and he won the world title at One Night Stand, or Night Champions, Vengeance Night Champions, would he have to give it up because it's now a different brand? By the logic you set forth with the ECW title being stripped and what you were throwing out to the audience, to the people watching at home, that if you're drafted with a title, you get stripped. Now, this is the mid-card title, I'm assuming, but, but, I don't know. Anyway, Batista wins this match. And Ric Flair goes to SmackDown. I don't think he does a damn thing on SmackDown. Not really. He has a couple matches maybe, but I don't think he does anything. And then, oh boy. Another one near and dear to my heart. Captain Lou. I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. And yes, he says that quite a bit. He'll say something about Mr. Man and go, then I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. If Mr. Man did this, and I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. And he ends the whole thing with, I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. Okay, I love Captain Lou Albano. It's clearly, they told him to just say whatever. It's unrehearsed. This is the most unrehearsed thing. I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. He could have thrown out his public service about doing drugs. You do drugs and you go to hell before you die. I'm Captain Lou and I'm talking to you. I don't know. And then Dudley Rose. We got 3 Mr. McMahon segments in a row, by the way. Dudley Rose comes out, talks about Mr. McMahon, talks about all the good things he's done. And he says, you don't have to like him, but you have to respect him. And I'm just like, well, I respect everything that he did for the industry, but the person himself, I cannot do that anymore. But I respect everything that he did for the business. I respect that, but no. Next, we have Mean Gene. And by far, this is the best one. Because Mean Gene, you know Mean Gene. Mean Gene does not mince words. Mean Gene Okerlund, he'll tell you, he won't hold back. So, he's like, well, I appreciate Mr. McMahon for letting me be the host of TNT, Tuesday Night Titans, and then it got canceled. And you knew that. And I appreciate that you fired me. Because then I got to live a job for 10 years. Basically, he appreciates that Mr. McMahon fired him because then he went to WCW where he actually, had a good job there. So, yeah. Next, we have a 15-man battle royal. Yes, 5 from Raw, 5 from SmackDown, and 5 from ECW, and this battle royal makes no fucking sense. So, from Raw, it is Kenny Dykstra, Eugene, Johnny Nitro, Viscera, and Randy Orton. From SmackDown, it is Matt Hardy, William Regal, Chad Guerrero, Mark Henry, and Chris Masters, who just got drafted. And this is not the last time they'll do that with the battle royals. And we have, from ECW, Kevin Thorne, Marcus Corvon, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, and Matt Striker. Now, this is a team battle royal. Now, this is the battle royal where everyone's wearing the colors of Raw, ECW, and SmackDown. However, unlike other years when they did this, they're not teams. It's every man for itself, and it is bullshit because they're attacking each other, and it's you shouldn't be doing that. Each team is supposed to be trying to get a draft pick for their brand. Why are they facing each other? It makes no sense. But Randy Orton wins the battle royal. They did it because they only wanted one person at the end. and they didn't have enough brains to figure out how to do that with teams. No. But we get 2 draft picks. Snitsky, who we saw earlier, is not going to Raw. And with him is Mr. Kennedy. And this is supposed to start the push for Mr. Kennedy to be Mr. McMahon's illegitimate son. But Randy Orton said, no, and got him fired. And so it became Hornswoggle. But yeah. And then we have Stone Cold appreciating Mr. McMahon. And you got things like, I appreciate that it come out to Philadelphia and hit you with a beer bash. I appreciate that I got to beat you, old Dr. Stone Cold, beat you with a bedpan. I appreciate that I got to come out there on the 4x4 or whatever it was, the Zamboni, and whip your ass. And he just goes off and he's just swearing up. And now remember, they said this was uncut, uncensored, unfiltered. They are bleeping him out nonstop. So that's bullshit. But he's the most I don't give a fuck in this thing. It's just, I don't care. I'm doing this. And then we get the segment that will live in infamy. As Vince McMahon is now coming out to the ring. He comes out. He has the microphone. He goes to say something. And he drops the microphone. He walks off. And he's walking back. And you see superstars lined up in the hallway. And if you pay attention, you'll see Paul London going like this. And he gets fired for that. Although he does eventually come back. Because I think he and Kendrick, they get drafted to Raw. So they have a run on Raw. But I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And so then, he ends up going the wrong way. And Coach is like, hey, Vince, Mr. Man, your limo is that way. So he goes out there. And he goes out. And he stops. He looks around. And there's 2 people sitting by a dumpster. And he's looking around, and he goes in, and he goes over to the limo. He opens the door. He looks around again. He goes in. You see his leg is down. He puts his leg up. Leg goes back down. Wait a minute. Leg goes back up. Door closes. And what I don't like about this is there is nothing said on commentary. Nothing. There's no words. There's stuff said when he was in the arena, but when he walks out, there's nothing. Are you telling me that none of the 6 commentators had anything to say, had no reaction to Vince McMahon blowing up? This is the most stupidest thing, is that you have Vince McMahon blowing up in a limo and not have anything from the commentators said. Nothing. Not a damn word. It just blows up and you see it on fire. And then the thing comes up in the corner and ends. Why didn't you have the commentator say something? I mean, you have JR. My God. Nothing. No, my God, no nothing. Why? Why did you have complete silence here? I don't get it. It also makes no sense if you're trying to portray this as something that's real, as there would be reactions, right? And also, there's no one coming out trying to spray the thing down. Nothing. It just stops with it on fire. All logic be damned here, because it makes no sense to just end on this. Of course, this would not last. So what originally was supposed to happen was that it was going to come forward that Mr. Kennedy was Vince McMahon's illegitimate son, and he was going to get the company, because his company was going to go to Vince. I think they would reveal that Stephanie and Triple H were married. They wouldn't do that till later, but they would reveal it here. And it'd be Triple H versus Kennedy, which would lead to Mr. McMahon coming back from the dead and supporting Kennedy. And Kennedy getting a push. But that didn't happen. And that was one of the things that messed up, was Kennedy getting fired, but also the whole Chris Benoit stuff, which, yeah. Oh, Chris Benoit. So Chris Benoit going to ECW, of course. Did I mention that earlier? Did I skip that? No, I did. Hold on. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I did mention it. It's just, it went so quick. But yeah, so this will kind of get thrown out But it was a talking point for a couple weeks until other stuff happened and more talking points. But yeah, it confuses me that they have no reaction from the commentators. It just goes off the air with the fire. There's no reaction. No one coming out. No one heard that. No one running out. No one tried to put out the fire. Nothing. You have the supplemental draft here. Raw gets, this happened on Wednesday, a couple days later. So Raw gets Paul London and Brian Kendrick, the Sandman, which made no sense, Davari, William Regal, who would end up being the general manager of Raw, and Jillian. ECW would get Viscera, who would become Big Daddy V, The Miz, and Johnny Nitro, who would become a tag team. Johnny Nitro would become John Morrison, become ECW champion, and Layla, who would become part of Extreme Exploitation. And then we have SmackDown getting Kenny Dykstra, who hadn't been doing anything, Hardcore Holly, who would end up going to Raw to team with Cody Rhodes, and then the Major Brothers, who would be Zack Ryder, Girl Hawkins and Zack Ryder, Victoria and Eugene, who is in his superhero mode here. And I don't remember him doing much on SmackDown, to be honest, but I remember him being on there a little bit. But I feel like the whole Eugene thing had pretty much passed by now, and they should have just repackaged him as Nick Dinsmore, but they didn't. They just kept the Eugene and changed him. It's the same Eugene, he's a superhero now, because he's handicapped. I think he's a superhero. Overall, this show is, it's not one of the good ones. I'll tell you that much. It's kind of boring. It's very annoying when the Vincent Man still has to keep popping up. And for these 3-hour shows, you could tell the runtime. Like I said, those 8 shows that I did, accumulating of 16 hours, nothing compared to this. I enjoyed them. It's not so much. But we keep going with these draft shows. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I kind of just want to go to 2011. I don't know. We shall see. What have we covered so far? Anyway, what are your thoughts on this show? Comments, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. And I'm Cap Lou, and I'm talking to you.